Alright, in this chapter 7, we're going to take a closer look at the date object, and in particular, we're going to look at UTC time, which is standard time. It's tied to what you might know as Greenwich Mean Time out of England, and what it allows you to do is it allows you to standardize times. So to this point, and a lot of what you'll do with JavaScript is going to be executed in the client or the browser. And so when you set up a new date object or you get the current time or something like that, you're going to do that based on the current time of the user's computer. So if you wanted to standardize that, if you had people from all over the world using the same thing and you were, counting down to a certain time, or if you wanted it to be international and you could then take it and put it into the local user's current time, you can do that using the UTC methods that are attached to the date object. So just to show you how to do it, I'm going to do a very simple program. I'm going to take today's time here in Stephenville. I've had to redo these videos so many times. That's going to show you that I'm doing these pretty close to the wire when they need to be redone. So we'll take today's time, we'll convert it to UTC time. I'll display those two things, and then I'll also do a little bit of a calculation to determine what the difference between the two time zones is. So I have the setup for your pages. I'm going to change this to UTC time info. I'm going to come in here to the script. I'm going to set up a var named today is, and I'm going to change that into a date object. Now remember from chapter 5, I believe, when you set up a new date object, if you don't put anything in the parentheses, if you don't feed in a parameter, by default what it does is it gets the time from the local computer. So what that just did was populate, well, when we execute it, it'll populate that today is with the current date and time information. So I'm going to var our UTC time variable, and I'm going to set that equal to today is, which is a date object, an instance of the date object, which means it has access to all the methods of the date object, which in this case we're going to use to UTC string. And what that'll do is it'll take our current time in today that's stored in today is, and it will convert it to a UTC string. So then I'm just going to document.write this stuff out. Document.write the current local time is, and I'm going to concatenate on our today is, and I'm also going to put in a break so these end up on their own line. Oops. Plus, and then a BR tag. Alright, so I still have an extra. There we go. So it's going to concatenate on what stored in today is, and then it's going to concatenate on a BR tag. So I'm going to document.write UTC time is, and I'm having trouble hitting the plus sign. Then we get our variable UTC time, and then I'm going to concatenate on that BR tag again. Alright, and then finally what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out how far my local time is from the UTC time. It's called the time zone offset. And this can be useful when you're trying to figure out where somebody's coming from maybe, or what their time is, or if you want to add what their time zone offset is back to UTC time. There are different ways to use this, but the thing you need to remember is that this is going to return it in minutes. And so you do, if you want it in hours, you do need to do a calculation to divide it by 60. So I'm just going to document.write what the current difference is between those and do it in hours. So document.write the current difference between the two time zones is concatenate in today is, I'm going to execute get time zone offset method, and then I'm going to divide that by 60, because what it would do is it would return the number of minutes between the two. So if I divide it by 60, that gives me the hours, and then I'm going to concatenate on, and I'm going to put the space so the time doesn't smush right up against the H in hours, and I'm going to save that. I think I already have it saved as times. And so I'm going to go to my browser. I think I have a browser open back here. I'm going to change this to times. And it doesn't work. So let me go into my developer tools real quick. I am missing a parentheses on line 7. So let's go back. Line 7. I don't see it. Current. Oh, I'm missing a quote. Here's what I'm missing. Alright, so save that. And then a little foray into debugging. To refresh your memory, what I did here in Chrome is I went to the little drop down menu here. I went to more tools and used the developer tools for it to tell me what the problem was. And you can do that in all the browsers. They have debugging tools built in that tell you what line your code has a problem with. Sometimes it's the right error, sometimes it's not. But reload this and we should see that here's our current time, 16:03 at daylight savings time. It's offset from GMT, the UTC time at 21:03, and our difference there is 5 hours. So that right there is our quick look at UTC times. In the next video, what you're going to do is take a look at the two different timers that Chapter 7 presents that you will be using in your lab.